So, we got a little bit of a treat. Since I already had my PS2 or my capture card for my that I use for my PlayStation 2, 360, etc., all my old games, I decided to pop in a game most of you are going to recognize just by seeing the loading screen. WWE Smackdown, Here Comes the Pain. What can I say about this game that hasn't already been said? Not a lot. Frankly, this is one of the greatest wrestling games of all time. It's right up there with No Mercy, with WWE 13, you name it. Right? There's been many great wrestling games. There's probably like four or five that get circulated a lot, and I've covered some on my channel. But this game certainly cannot be said as any less than those. One of the missing Jack Specific in there. There you go. THQ and Ukes, obviously the makers of the AEW wrestling game, with a couple of the developers and companies involved in this, obviously. But this was a great time in wrestling. Ruthless Aggression era was cooking. Um, you had 2003 was an awesome year. Stone Cold, The Rock, they're there, but they're not really the focal point anymore. Believe it or not. You got Triple H, Brock Lesnar, Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner, Bill Goldberg, Kurt Angle, Benoit, Guerrero, Edge, Undertaker, Big Show, up and comers Batista, John Cena, and actually we will look at the roster because I'm a roster head when it comes to wrestling games. I will buy a wrestling game for the roster at times. I actually believe, like, for me, one of the reasons I like 2K18 is the roster. And people may say, come on, the game's not that good. All right, man. Well, I like the roster, bro. Let's look at the match types: single, tag, six man tag, handicap, hardcore, Royal Rumble, survival, which is basically like I think survival like the that's like a survivor match. You can do 4 man, 5 man, 6 man. Um, then they have what they call like main events. So main events, 3 stages of hell. It's basically like you get 3 matches you pick, and you have to win 2 out of the 3. Bra and Panty, cage match, elimination chamber, elimination tag, first blood, Hell in a Cell, Iron Man match, ladder match, last man standing, lumberjack match, slobber knocker match. Slobber knocker is basically like where you're in the ring and they send out 10, 20, or 30 guys and you have to beat them all. And you just see how far you can go before you get pinned, right? Special referee, submission match, table match, and TLC. So plenty of match types. I will say that in the SmackDown vs. Raw series, they expanded the match types again because in that series, which is like literally the game after this, they added in buried alive match. I think they might have brought back casket match too. Um, but and actually, you'll notice there's no falls count anywhere. Well, falls count anywhere is basically I think that's a hardcore match. So we could do that. We could actually do a hardcore match here. A lot of match types. We'll do single and let's take a look at this roster. All right, so you got The Rock, Roddy Piper, all the ones that's for the most part the ones that say legend you have to unlock. Okay, but it's not through a paywall; it's through playing the game. So The Rock, Roddy Piper, Roddy Mack, Sable, Scott Steiner, Sean O'Hare, Sergeant Slaughter, Shawn Michaels, Shelton Benjamin, Stacy Keibler, Stephanie McMahon, Steve Austin, Steven Richards, Tajiri, Ted DiBiase, Test, Tori Wilson, Triple H, Trish Stratus, Ultimate Dragon. This is an classic Undertaker, which I didn't unlock yet. American of the current, American Badass, Dead Man Undertaker, or whatever they called him at the time. 2003. This is the end of the Biker Taker. This is the last one. Val Venus, Victoria, Vince McMahon. This is a created Triple H I did. Sid Vicious I created. Raven I created. Rick Steiner created. Elias, believe it or not, I created. What a waste that's been. A Train, Animal, Batista. This is Batista's debut in wrestling video games, by the way. Big Show, Booker T, Brock Lesnar, feature guy, Bubba Ray Dudley, Charlie Haas, Chavo Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Christian, Devon Dudley, Eddie Guerrero, Edge, Eric Bischoff, George the Animal Steel, Bill Goldberg, Goldust, Hawk, Hillbilly Jim, Hurricane, Iron Sheik, Jazz, Jimmy Snuka, John Cena. This is his debut in wrestling video games. This is rapper Cena, the best one, in my opinion. Kane, they have him with and without the mask. Kevin Nash, Kurt Angle, Lance Storm, Lita, Matt Hardy. There was no Jeff Hardy, no Hulk Hogan either. That's been talked about many times. Nicole Volkov, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Rhino, Ric Flair, Rico, Rikishi, Rob Van Dam, and back to the People's Champ, Hollywood Rock. So, yes, this is a stacked roster. I'm going to go ahead and play as the featured guy. Why not? I'll be Brock Lesnar. Let's do my specials. So we'll do Brock Lesnar against. How about Brock Lesnar versus Kane? So, the roster is awesome. Now, one of the things, the attires are actually less in this game than in Shut Your Mouth. I did a video on Shut Your Mouth. Shut Your Mouth has, to me, the best built-in attire variety of any wrestling game after the No Mercy series, because almost all of them have alternative built-in attires. And I think, after the early 2000s, that became less and less prominent in wrestling games. Why? I couldn't tell you. Here are the arenas, by the way. Smackdown A, B. I don't know the difference. Raw, A and B. I'm not sure 100%. I'm assuming. I think the color palette changed a little from 02 to 03. I'm not really sure. Velocity, Heat, and then you have your pay-per-view ones, right? Royal Rumble, No Way Out, WrestleMania, Backlash, Judgment Day, Bad Blood, Vengeance, SummerSlam, Unforgiven, No Mercy, Survivor Series, Armageddon, Rebellion, Insurrection. Wow. And then backstage, because it's hardcore, you could do arena backstage, the parking lot, training room, Times Square, outside the arena. Super cool. I guess we could start this one. And because this is a SmackDown game, one of the things from the SmackDown games that, we all love is that you could just go backstage, go to the ramp, fight backstage. You don't have to, you do Vengeance. You don't have to be, you don't have to start backstage to have a backstage fight like in the modern, like in 2K23, unlike 2K18 and 19. 2K23, everything is like sectioned off. So if you're doing a match in the ring, you're in the ring. If you do a match backstage, you're backstage, and they don't really allow for mixing too, which I don't like because to me it doesn't even make sense. In modern games, open world is so popular. Why would you not allow like a game to be completely open? So I don't really understand that one. But anyway, see Brock choking him out in the corner. But yeah, so attires became less and less of a thing. But at this point, they still give you a decent amount of alternatives. And attires are important because it actually differentiates the characters. Because if you have an attire, like Kane with the mask is a slightly different character than Kane without the mask. His clothes are a little different. Obviously, he has the long hair. So I always felt like attires were great. And, in some cases, I wish that in modern games, not only would you have the attire, but attires were linked to the time frame of a character so that you could have different music and stuff. You'd think with the power of these systems, these are things that you could do. But I think part of it is also that some of the people making these games are just not huge wrestling fans, so they don't really care about those sort of things. It doesn't occur to them that that's important. So that's an unfortunate side effect of the expense of building a new game and maybe not having it filled with people who are in love with the genre the way that some of us are. Anyway, this game, one of the things this game did, which was a huge transition for the PlayStation series and really changed the way these games are made, is this game introduced a different level of physics for grappling. So in Smackdown, shut your mouth. You're able to grapple and you have impact, but there's no blood. There's no limb targeting. In this game, you really start to see that they want to differentiate, damage to the torso, damage to the arms, damage to the legs. And what that does is that changes the way the game feels. I don't want to say slower because you can see the pace is still fast, but it does change the impact of the moves. It almost brings you back a little bit to what you had with No Mercy, what you had with WrestleMania 2000, what you had with NWO versus WCW versus NWO of Revenge and all those games. Now, one of the reasons people love this game, besides the roster, the time frame, is just that in this game, you still have a fast pace even though you have limb damage. You still have a fast pace even though you have blood. And that's a huge factor. So the game, it's just beautifully made. It plays well. It's still a standard bearer for so many people. And for those of you who haven't played this game, I mean, I'm sorry for you, but you need to play. A PlayStation 2 costs you $60 right now, $70. Costs you less than a new video game. And with that, you get access to some of the greatest video games of all time. I just highly, highly recommend investing in a PlayStation 2. You're not going to be sorry. You're not going to regret it. It's just a great system. The library itself is really the key. Anyway, the outside here, almost all of the outsides have the same 2 tables. They're very easy to break. There's no announcing in this game, by the way, because I know I have this muted. Unlike the previous game, Shut Your Mouth, where they tried to have announcers, they had JR and the King. And before that, they had Michael Cole and Taz. They don't try this game. They just play music. They have they have running music overlaying the different match types. They change the music tracks usually within a match. There you go. See, then you have the heavy moves with the steps, and now he's bleeding. Now Kane has a mask on, so you can't necessarily see the blood. This game doesn't go crazy with the blood. Like, it's not going to splatter like in the modern AEW game or anything like that. But the fact that it's there is pretty cool. And again, this is brand new for PlayStation users. And all wrestling games in this generation, this is the first time you get blood. So you had blood in some of the older games, not the Smackdown games, but the older like N64 wrestling games, you did have blood. This game brings that back, which is pretty cool. So you're playing, a fast pace, at the time, modern game, and you get blood. So let's bring them up to the ramp. Now the scaling in this game is pretty cool. Like it's not slow to get up the ramp, and like some of the modern games, it takes like forever to get up the ramp. This game you can run very quickly, and you can see here like the ramp. It looks great. You could explore and fight on the outside. You can't walk all the way around the arena, so that's just like something to bear in mind if that's important to you. I don't know. But you see that little blue diamond looking thing on the ramp? That's the exit indicator. If I stand on that long enough, it'll turn red, and that will allow me to leave the arena. And I don't need to have Kane follow me to make that happen. I can force him to leave, which is pretty cool. He's got the table. Oh. Love that clothesline. Oh, wow, he rolled off. I thought I had enough damage where I could get him. Now, one thing with this game, there's no physics for the tables where you're not going to be able to lift your opponent up and slam him through a table that's set. You need to either get him on the table or lay it and do a move, or lay him on the table and jump off onto him. So just bear in mind if you've not played these older games, that is a factor in terms of the physics. Get the strength out of Lesnar, man. He's such a freak in this game. He's a freak in real life. But it's how do you not let me do a move, man? All right, I got him here. Good power bomb. Boom. Do we have any weapons over here? No. All right, let's just show you what it's like to go backstage. So you stand on it, it should turn red, and then I think I just hit R1 or something, and I can go backstage. You do this. Oh, here we go. I hit square. I didn't even have to wait for it to turn red. I guess that was in the shut your mouth game. So now we are backstage. Pretty cool. And the backstage arenas in these older games were really good. I think a lot better than in 2K23. I think it's okay in 23. You know, I get they tried to do something different, but I don't like it quite as much, to be honest. And I think the 2K18's backstage and the system of being able to take any match backstage, I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't this the thing where he, like, if you throw him into it, he'll go flying off? Oh, come on. Oh. Ah! Sleeper with the lead pipe. It's only Taz and Smackdown just bring it. Another sleeper with the lead pipe. I gotta get that thing away from him. Can't reach him. Oh, come on. I don't think I got any of them there. Nice. Oh, this beast. Oh, I missed. And you could keep exploring the backstage. There's more areas to go to in this game because you could just keep roaming around, and that would happen a lot. Especially if you play with your friends, like you just keep like going all over the arena and stuff, and end up maybe like fighting outside. It's pretty cool, like how that works. The thing's downstairs. That's what it is. All right, enough messing around. Rockets. So yeah, I just wanted to give you an example of the gameplay in this game. Here Comes the Pain's a classic. As you can see, it's really like it's just so much fun. It's fast. It's physical. It's got blood. I mean, what else would you need, right, in a wrestling game? What else do they have in this? They do have Elimination Chamber. This was the first time Elimination Chamber was in a wrestling game because the match debuted in 2002. Hell in the Cell, which you've seen probably before. Ladder. I mean, the thing with this game says it's fast paced. The ladder matches, TLCs, are always fun, especially with your friends. Um, the physics of the ladder are pretty cool. You can throw a guy on top of the ladder and do a move on top of him, so you don't have to just hit him with the ladder, and you could actually like use the ladder to do damage by putting him on top of it. Let's see. TLC. Could do a TLC match. And for title, yeah. Let's see. I mean, RVD, Chris Jericho, someone like that would probably be good for this. Oh, it's Kurt Angle too, I guess, right? Only guy who's missing from this game, in my personal opinion, who I would have loved to see in this was Bret Hart. He's in the next wrestling game, but he wasn't. He didn't have a relationship with WWE at this time, so he was not in this game. Well, I could go with Booker T. Booker T against Ric Flair. Let's see. Do set Survivor Series. Coming for you, sucker. Yeah, and this is probably another reason why this game isn't. You're not going to see WWE talking about it much, right? Um, but I would love to see them. I mean, the fans would pay probably $100 a pop if you just did a remastered version of this game. If you did a remastered version, and that's one thing, like game developers need to take a step back and realize that making new content is great, but there's old games that are beloved that fans want to play on their Xbox Series X and their PS5 and their Nintendo Switch. If you remastered these old games, I understand there's licensing. I understand that. I understand there's wrestlers who retire, there's wrestlers who you don't want in the game. All right, well, take them out, or just put a disclosure in. But there's no excuse for some of these entities that have tons of money to just not have remasters of games that people still want to play. People want to play The Punisher. People want to play True Crime Streets of New York. People want to play Smackdown Here Comes the Pain. People don't want to just play the most current thing all the time. Sometimes there's value in these classic games. And it really gets annoying that like the game developers don't seem to realize that. Like there's money on the table here. Remaster this game and just say it's a different version of a wrestling game. It's not the same style of 2K. It's gonna play a little differently, and then just give the fans a chance to check it out. Let them decide what they like better. I think there is a fear factor that fans may prefer these games to the games that are being put out today. think that is one huge factor here and why you're not seeing old games. I know the licensing is part of it. I get that. But another part of it is the fact that I don't think that developers want fans to experience games that some of fans like myself remember, and then they have to answer for why these games have not improved since then. Why do we have match types we don't have anymore? Why do we have game modes we don't have anymore? In all of these video games. And part of it is the variety, right? There used to just be more games. So you didn't have like the same game, like wrestling games. So he's slamming me on the ladder there. That's one way you could do it. Another way you could do it is I can put him on the ladder and do a move off the top rope and slam him down. Oh, Flair's got me. He's on a heater here. Let's back down. There we go. Nice. So, I mean, I think that not remastering games is just, it just, to me, it's part of it is not wanting to expose fans, even though they're exposed anyway, not wanting to expose them to some of the classics, but also it's just like, to me, it's very short-sighted because you don't need to just constantly create or repeat content that's out there. You can take advantage or remake uh, or make new games. You could just take advantage of some of the stuff that's already made, unless it's just impossible to remaster the stuff. And again, I like some of these new games. Don't get me wrong, I play them a lot. So I'm not saying all new things are bad and all old things are great. No, there's stuff about these games. Like I think it's awesome to have like community creations and stuff, and the fact that when you release a game, you can add stuff to it. You couldn't do that in these games. Like you could only create a game, and the community creations was basically like if you and your friends had memory cards and you shared the memory. That was it. You didn't have like the ability to add content to a game once it was released. So I think that's pretty cool that you could do that now. That's the power of the internet, right? Got the ref too. And I'll take requests, guys. If there's stuff that you wanted to see that I'm skipping over, I'll take requests if you want to see other match types or new games. Like I said, I have Here Comes the Pain, Shut Your Mouth, Smackdown vs. Raw 6, Smackdown vs. Raw. I have too many games. But anyway, yeah, Booker T gets the win. Again, just wanted to showcase just a little bit of what this game was about, gameplay wise, roster. For me, this is one of the greatest wrestling games of all time. I think I actually play Shut Your Mouth a little more than I play Here Comes the Pain, but I appreciate this game. I love the physics of it and the blood. Yeah, so yeah, it doesn't get any better than this. And I have a lot of fun with it, and that's what we like to do. We want to have fun here at the Corner Arcade. Thanks, everybody, and I'll take requests. Please like and subscribe so I can keep doing more of this stuff. Appreciate it.